Hopefully this is not going to be redundant, but what I'm going to do today is to take these Trident maple seedlings out. Looks like I took it in October of last year. And right now we're at the tail end of September, which is a good time to transplant. Although deciduous can be done in the middle of winter time, but I'll go ahead and do it today. Well, looking at the bottom, I guess they really wanted to come out. So I guess it's time to get started. So what we're working on today is Trident maples. This looks like a slightly modified version of my soil. I think I just added a little extra lava rock. Actually, a lot of times what happens is I have leftover, so I just kind of throw it in. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, this dirty thing here is a typical nursery flat. And what they do in the nursery trade is they fill this thing with 2-inch containers. And they have a machine that automatically puts one seed in every container. And it grows well that way. Well, there is a slight problem when you're working to make a good bonsai. And let me explain that to you. Well, it's been about a year now. Actually, a couple weeks short of being a year, but basically, we plant in a seed bed rather than container. And so you see how massive this root is, right? And so what we want to do is to cut lightly. And then we really don't need these tall ones, so we just cut it like that. And thinking of the future, we want to make sure that we go in. What happens in the nursery trade, they put it in a 2-inch, so it's about this size, and it gets like this, it hits the bottom, and it starts to coil. Well, we want this to have a nice root flare, so we minimum of 4-inch is what I recommend. We could go bigger, but then it takes up so much space, right? But originally I was thinking of doing the 2-inch because everybody else is doing it, but then it's very detrimental to your good quality bonsai in the future. That's why, I don't know if you noticed, but every time I'm repotting, I check the surface and making sure nothing is coiled around. Next time I'm doing it, I should be explaining. Okay, I'm also looking to see if there's any major taproot. And these two so far has been pretty good, so I'm just going to cut like that, right? And then remove it. And this is the important part. Make sure you're not just damaging the root. So, see? Sometimes it does get buried a little deep for stability. And then on the next go around, we'll start to show the true root flare. This one here, you see this one here? This very long one? That's the root taproot. So we go ahead and remove that, shorten the top. And see, no pressure on the tender roots. Well, oh, I know why I changed the soil. The reason I put a little bit more lava rock, so these will come out easier. Well, the soil mix is not that exact. You could do just about anything and it'll grow. It's just how well it grows. So this is the taproot, so I'm going to cut it back a little bit tighter, and then let all the energy go to a more horizontal one. And then definitely this will not do well trying to grow, so like that. Now, I've been to, well, you know, whether I buy or not, I like tools, right? And I used to attend a lot of the conventions and conferences related to landscape and nursery when I was much younger, when I was more ambitious. Well, anyway, that's how I found out how they do things. And I'm thinking, wow, they could get so many seeds planted, but then in our case, we don't want 10,000 plants at a time. So this method fits our needs better. But hey, I like learning things. Oh yeah, here's one. See how this one hit the bottom and it turned. And then so if the pot was small, it goes around like that. And then if you don't catch it early, well, the nurseries, what they do is take the 2-inch and then stick it in a 1 gallon without ever looking at the condition of the roots. They don't need to because it's just going to be planted. But for a bonsai, you know, half of our effect is down below. So we have to make sure that we do these so that we could produce good bonsai material. And so this is like the very first step other than planting, and it's very important that you get this part right. Yeah, I hate doing these workshops where people bring in things that they bought from conventional nurseries. Okay, this one here, taproot. Let's shorten that up. Okay, enough root here. Well, anyway, so they bought this thing maybe 5-10 years ago from a conventional nursery, and they started to style it, which is fine, except that they never took care of the roots. So now you got a decent looking tree that has a major flaw that's really difficult to fix. So, well, I guess if you want it done right, do it yourself. Because, well, those of you from South America, New Zealand, Australia, I don't think you're going to have a chance to come shop in my nursery. So anyway, yeah. See, look. So when you start doing a seed bed, do it in, well, when you start in from seed, get a seed bed. Okay, see this one here? Can you see it? No? Maybe better now. See this one here? That is our taproot that could run into problems. So cut it off. And then these will take the energy and then produce good quality bonsai material. Now, you're asking yourself, or you might want to ask me, well, how come we don't put it in a 5-inch or 6-inch? That would be good, but that take up a lot of space. So what I decided was this 4-inch was sort of a good compromise. And so each time that we shift up, make sure that you're paying attention to how the roots are developing, just as much how the top. Well, I guess you're getting enough of me repotting, so I'll go ahead and finish up, and then we'll do a little conclusion. Okay, this is a really good indicator of what a taproot does, right? See? A lot of times these in the ground have to go really deep to stabilize. So if you look at the taproot and the top, it's almost equal, right? Well, we don't want that, that's for sure. So we're going to cut it off, and then maybe even more than that. And then these will get stronger. So that was a good example of what a taproot. Well, while we're here, you notice this seed bed, it's all just about 1 year, but they're all different sizes, right? Okay, so what we should do is to find 1, 2, 3 trees that are different sizes. And what we can do is to make a grove. So in a grove, we want them all different sizes. So now that we have 3 of these, and one of the things about that makes a grove better than others is the spacing. We do not want equal spacing. So if we were using these, then you end up with a kind of a perfect triangle. But if you want it so that some are, oh, here's our taproot again, I better remove that. Okay. Anyway, so number 1 tree. This one has a taproot too. They usually have. Okay, so what we want is 1, 2, 3 as a triangle, but not an equilateral triangle. We try and, oh yeah. Here, this is the true tap, and then this one is strong. So, but see, you got lots of fibrous root. So, yeah, plant the seeds in late part of 1 year, and then about beginning of fall is a good time to do these. You'll have enough time to kind of get going, and then when spring comes, you'll have all this energy coming up and grows fast. So 1, 2, 3, but not equal in distance. See, this way you save yourself a lot of headache in the future. So maybe 2 years, 3 years from now, when you're trying to make a grove. So make sure you control your height. So this one was really good in that there was already 1, 2, 3 that was totally different in the thickness of the trunk, right? So it starts to make more sense. So if you only had perfectly the same growth, then it's a little bit more difficult. There's ways to fix it, but on today's subject, we'll just stay with that. Okay, so we got one with 3. Now, if you have 2 of them, that's 3, then you put it together, it becomes 6. And so they say, wow, that's not a good number. Well, I don't really pay that much attention, but if that's the case, what you should do is to take the taproot off again, right? I don't know why in the same seed bed, the same mother plant seeds, we're getting such a difference in growth. But it's good, so we'll go ahead and shorten that up. And what you should do is to make some with 2. Okay, so if you have one with 2 and you have one with 3, that becomes 5, right? Sometimes I even make 4, because if you use it with something else, it becomes a odd number. I don't know. I think it's kind of a, I don't know about the numbers. Okay, but now, so when you get around to put it together, see, you could do it like that. So yeah, I think saying that if you want it done right, do it yourself, I think it goes a long way. While you're still here, let's talk about stratification. Stratification is placing your seed in a cool environment, usually like in your refrigerator, vegetable section. And then, sometime in the fall, it's recommended that you pick the seed off the tree and then put it in a plastic bag with some sort of wet medium. It could be wet sand. I've even used a wet paper towel, and then keep it in there till about January, and then you plant it. Well, the reason why I did mine in November, because the stratification process is to mimic nature. So what these deciduous tree needs to do is to go through a period of wet and cold. Then I realized that, you know what, I get wet and cold here every year. So here I could just stick it in the soil, and the stratification process happens automatically. I thought that was a little important for those of you that are in milder climates where it does not get wet and cold in the winter. Okay, now these plants look a little bit more spindly, right? And this batch here was grown in my normal bonsai soil or nursery stock soil, same thing. So the conclusion I'm coming out with, the seed bed with the faster draining, so my basic soil with extra lava rock seemed to have done better. So guess what? I think if I want to take or make cuttings this year, I will do that. So on this batch, this is the best one, and the other one, there was some that's even more vigorous than this, right? So anyway, I thought I'd throw that information out because some of you probably puzzled, how come he just planted it in November? I could have done it in October too, I think. But anyway, yeah, it needs to go through the wet and cold. So those of you like me have the weather that gets wet and cold, then just plant it. Otherwise, you should collect the seed and put it in your refrigerator. Okay, so this has been the Trident maple from a seed bed. This is Hiro saying goodbye. I'll see you again real soon in another chapter.